From a crab with fur-like pincers lurking in the scalding depths, to glowing jellyfish and worms that survive in the harshest conditions on Earth, the Midnight Zone is home to some of the ocean's most bizarre creatures. These are terrifying deep-sea creatures discovered in the Midnight Zone. The Yeti crab was first discovered in 2005 in the South Pacific Ocean, deep around hydrothermal vents near New Zealand. What makes it so strange is that its claws are covered in a sort of fuzzy hair, but it's not actually hair, it's bacteria. Scientists think the bacteria might help process the sulfur in the water, which is an important nutrient for the crab, but it's hard to say for sure. The fact that they survive in one of the harshest ecosystems known to science is pretty cool though. The crab's habitat is one of the most extreme environments on Earth, with scalding temperatures, high pressure, but the Yeti crab thrives in it, and it kind of looks like an animal that fits right at home in an environment like this. It's pale and ghostly with spindly legs, which gives it a sort of haunting look, and it's not hard to see how it gets its name, of course. The strange fuzzy appearance and the white color makes it sort of look like the mythical furry Himalayan Yeti. The deep-sea spider crab lives at depths where sunlight never reaches, and thank God for that, because just look at this thing. These are slow-moving scavengers with long legs that can stretch over 3 feet, and while that's not exactly giant by deep-sea standards, it's pretty big for something as freaky-looking as this. Its long limbs make it look otherworldly, and it kinda does live in another world. They're usually found on the seafloor, scavenging for dead animals or whatever else they can find. What really sets these guys apart from the other deep-sea crabs is those legs, which are disproportionately long compared to the rest of their body, which you probably don't need me to tell you. Their body looks about the size of a large hamburger, but their legs are massive. They look like they belong to a completely different animal. It's hard to tell if these long legs are for efficiency in getting around, or if they just look that way because of the extreme pressure and low food availability this deep down. Just makes their bodies all weird. I don't know. These things aren't really aggressive, but they definitely look freaky. Thankfully, the vampire squid doesn't suck BLOOD, but it's certainly got a name that brings up some pretty creepy images. It's a small cephalopod that lives in the oxygen-deprived waters of the deep ocean, about 250 to 2,500 feet down. The vampire squid gets its name from its dark, velvety body and red eyes, which make it look like, well, a vampire squid. They look kinda intimidating, but they're not as scary as they seem. It doesn't actively hunt for other animals. Instead, it survives by feeding on plankton and marine detritus, which is the decaying organic material like dead plants and animals that sink down to the ocean floor. One of the most interesting things about it is that, unlike other squid species, it doesn't expel ink as a defense mechanism. Instead, it releases this bioluminescent mucus to confuse predators. The deep-sea hatchetfish is a small, flat fish that lives deep down in the ocean, around 200 to 1,000 meters or 650 to 3,280 feet down. Its body is laterally compressed and shaped like a hatchet, which is of course where it gets its name. The body shape, combined with the fact that it's bioluminescent, helps it blend in with the faint light from above. Hatchetfish have large eyes designed to capture even the smallest amount of light from above, and they use their glowing undersides to make themselves harder to spot from below. The hatchetfish is another one of those creatures that on its own isn't that terrifying. They're very small, they pose zero threat to humans, but they have a kind of unsettling appearance. It's something about their downturned mouths and their semi-translucent looking bodies. They look a bit like tormented ghosts. And in its natural habitat, it's a master of staying out of sight while lurking in the depths. It's just a really cool creature. The black dragonfish is an almost mythical looking deep sea predator, or like something that would pop out of your chest in the far reaches of space. It has long, sharp teeth, a bioluminescent barbell hanging from its chin, and this sleek black body designed to blend into the darkness of the sea. These things just look mean. Found at depths of about 200 to 2,000 meters or 650 to 6,000 150 feet. It's a vicious hunter that uses its glowing barbell to lure in prey. They're ambush predators, taking advantage of the pitch black environment to surprise their victims. Yes, the glowing orb is very noticeable, but the stupid fish don't notice the horrific monster attached to it. And the black dragonfish doesn't just look scary, its teeth are sharp and curved backward, making it easier to trap prey once they're close enough. The deep sea cusk eel is a long, thin, snake-like fish that lives in the deep, dark parts of the ocean, usually between 3,280 and 9,840 feet. With its eel-like body, it looks more like a giant worm than your typical fish, and it's got small fins that don't seem to serve much purpose. These fish don't swim around much. Instead, they tend to sort of crawl along the ocean floor, using their long bodies to slither through the mud and sand in search of food. The cusk eel is what you'd call an opportunistic feeder. It doesn't hunt actively, but will scavenge for whatever it can find, including dead animals or leftover bits of prey from other predators. They can survive in extreme conditions, and by that I mean they can go for long periods without food. This is important because food sources in the deep ocean are scarce, so the cusk eel's ability to go without eating for a while is key to its survival, especially because it doesn't really hunt. A hydrothermal vent worm is a remarkable creature found around hydrothermal vents, which are underwater geysers that release superheated mineral-rich water from the Earth's crusts. These vents are one of the most extreme environments on the planet, with temperatures that can soar above 350 degrees Fahrenheit or about 175 degrees Celsius. And the hydrothermal vent worm just loves this environment. What's truly fascinating about these worms is that they don't have mouths or digestive systems, meaning they don't eat food the way most animals do. Instead, they rely on bacteria that live inside their bodies. These bacteria consume the chemicals spewed by the vents, like hydrogen sulfide, and then convert them into energy through a process called chemosynthesis. This allows the worm to survive without eating anything in the traditional sense anyway. The worms themselves are long, bright red tubes that stick out of the ocean floor, often clustered around the vents. The red coloration is thanks to hemoglobin, which helps them transport oxygen in the low oxygen waters around the vents. Hydrothermal vent worms are just a perfect example of how life can adapt to some of the most extreme conditions on Earth. The bioluminescent jellyfish is one of the most well-known creatures of the deep sea, and it's easy to see why. Just look at them. This jellyfish has a protein called GFB, green fluorescent protein inside its body that allows it to emit a glow, often described as an eerie or ghostly light. It uses bioluminescence in a variety of ways. It can attract prey, communicate with other jellyfish, and confuse predators. See, the glow can be used to disorient creatures that might otherwise try to eat it, allowing the jellyfish to then escape. GFP has been so fascinating to scientists that it's now used a lot in research. It's helped develop a number of scientific tools, from tracing proteins in other organisms to improving medical imaging. Now, while this jellyfish isn't dangerous to humans, its glow in the dark depths of the ocean is nothing short of mesmerizing, and its slow, graceful movements combined with that creates this kind of surreal, haunting image, making it one of the most iconic deep-sea creatures in the world. Lanternfish are small deep-sea fish. They're some of the most abundant animals in the deep ocean. Found in the midnight zone, they can grow up to about 20 centimeters long, which of course isn't all that impressive, but it's their glowing bioluminescent bodies that make them look so darn cool. Now, this may seem like a pretty dumb ability for such a small, defenseless creature to have in the deep, dark depths of the ocean, but the bioluminescence is actually used for camouflage, helping them blend into the faint light from the surface when viewed from below. It makes it harder for predators to spot them. It's also a way for them to communicate or attract mates. Lanternfish are an important part of the food chain. They feed on plankton, and they're also a food source for a lot of larger predators. They've adapted to life in total darkness, with big eyes to help them detect the slightest bit of light. So sure, they're small and pretty fragile looking, but they're one of the most successful species in the midnight zone, found in large numbers across the globe. They may not be as frightening as some of the other creatures lurking in the depths, but their ability to survive in total darkness and extreme pressure is pretty impressive. Slow Stallone's viperfish is a predatory fish that lives in the depths of the ocean, often found at depths between 500 and 2,000 meters or 1,600 to 6,500 feet. It has long needle-like teeth that are so large they don't even fit in its mouth, when it's closed anyway. That jaw is capable of stretching to accommodate those oversized teeth, which it uses to catch and hold on to its prey before swallowing them whole. The viperfish also has bioluminescence with glowing photophores along its body that help it to attract its prey. Those needle-like teeth paired with those glowing body make it one of the most fearsome looking creatures in the Midnight Zone. But although they look frightening, they're also a relatively small fish, usually only around 30 centimeters long. But with all that said, I've been your host James, and I'll catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video. See what a 500-year-old shark looks like up close. Watch what happens when a gigantic flashing squid tries to attack a submersible, and what exactly is this unidentified object whizzing through the water. These are some of the scariest deep-sea creatures caught on camera by submarines. What are we looking at here? When I first saw this thumbnail, I thought this was a fishing net, but no, this is some kind of living organism. This incredible piece of footage was shared by Tahoe Deep on YouTube. The creature is some kind of siphonophore, a class of marine animals that contains 175 species that we know of anyway. As for exactly what species this one is, we're not sure. From what I've seen, siphonophores can look vastly different between species. What we do know is that this video was captured in the Gulf of Mexico, about 4,000 feet deep, or just over 1,219 meters deep. I've never seen a creature like this in my life. It reminds me of one of those old school iTunes visualizers or like Windows screensavers where you'd have like a trippy animation going on, kinda. A very odd, obscure reference, but I'm sure some of you will get it. Sperm whales and giant squids, some of the largest animals in the ocean. Footage of either is incredible to see, but how about the aftermath of a battle between the two? This footage was shared by EcoWatch Discovery Mauritius. As you can clearly see, a group of whales are coming back from a hunt, and one of them has the remains of a giant squid in its mouth. Getting up closer, you can see that its tentacle is still wrapped around the whale. It's pretty incredible footage. It's rare to see video of giant squids at all, let alone one in the mouth of a massive sized sperm whale. Turns out these animals fight a lot. They're both huge predators that are often locked in battles for survival. Based on this footage, I'd be placing my bets on these sperm whales. At our number 3 spot, we have the Mariana Trench Meg. Now this video is very much genuine, and I just find it really creepy. The idea of being lost deep beneath the sea and having this nasty thing creep up on you is pretty spine-tingling. This footage here was shared to YouTube by Deep Sea Oddities. It shows footage taken by equipment from a Japanese marine biology study about a mile underwater in the Mariana Trench. We see a really creepy looking shark swim into frame. It almost looks like a zombie shark or something to me. Nothing cute about this guy. I just kind of cringe watching the footage actually. It just gets too close to the camera for comfort, you know? Now apparently that's a baited cage in the frame there that it's swimming up to, which makes this shark pretty damn large. It doesn't look like it's been missing any meals. All I can say is I'm glad we don't live in the world of SeaQuest. Bet you weren't expecting to see a SeaQuest reference on this video. Now it turns out this creepy looking creature is actually called a Greenland shark. Here's another footage of a Greenland shark. Definitely an eerie looking animal, but incredibly fascinating. First off, these things are huge. One of the largest sharks in the ocean. They can grow up to about 21 feet or 6.4 meters long, sometimes more, and they can weigh over 2,200 pounds. Already terrifying. But here's the part that totally blows my mind. These sharks can live incredibly long. In fact, they're the longest living known vertebrate on Earth, with a lifespan of 250 to 500 years. That means there could be a Greenland shark out there right now that was alive well before the United States was founded. As for what they eat, they're apex predators. They hunt fish, seals, and basically whatever they can find. They live in some seriously deep water, around 650 to 3,000 feet down, and sometimes even deeper. So they've been difficult animals to study and are rarely ever seen. take a look at this strange object flying by the camera. Just what the hell was that? This is a very strange video. It was captured by a remotely operated vehicle back in 2002 off the coast of Senriku, Japan. The thing passes by way too fast to determine what it is. It's not even clear if this is a living creature or some kind of object. What we're looking at here could be a USO, an unidentified submerged object. It's sleek looking, almost like a disc, and it's incredibly bright, so much that you can't make out any detail on it, if there even is any at all. So could this just be a ray of light? Well, it doesn't appear to be, for one. I mean, it does look like a solid object or organism. Plus, this footage was taken 421 meters down, or just over 1,381 feet. Not super deep, but enough that some ray of light from above wouldn't penetrate the water like this. According to the NOAA, or the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, light may be detected as far as 1,000 meters down in the ocean, but there is rarely any significant light beyond 200 meters. So, was this just a very fast fish, or something else entirely? This is a really cool piece of footage. Just what is this creature attacking this submersible? The footage was taken at a depth of around 1,280 meters, or 4,200 feet. Something had clearly tried to latch onto the vehicle. As for what it is, well, we get a better look moments later. What you're looking at here is a flasher squid. Not much of a mystery why it's called a flasher squid. They have two photophores at the tips of their heads that flash. These are one of the largest squids in the world and are among the biggest known bioluminescent creatures on Earth, reaching lengths of up to 7.5 feet or 2.3 meters. They're very rarely spotted, which just makes this footage even more incredible. This deep sea diver was bitten by a shark, but an unlikely ally came to his rescue. Take a look. Here we see a shark latched on to this dude's leg. Now, luckily it's a very small shark, but I don't think there's any such thing as a good or even okay shark attack. Nobody wants this. Attached to the small shark, though, is a grouper, much bigger than the shark. Was the grouper just glad to
Have you ever seen those structures that they found under the ocean outside of Japan?
No.
Fascinating. It looks like some ancient structure that was under the ocean a long time ago. Look at that. There's corridors, steps. They have no idea.
4 new octopus species, a newly discovered eyeless fish, and a life form the size of 2 basketball courts. These are more terrifying sea creatures caught on camera experts can't explain. Well, this is exciting. This news just came out the other day. In the waters off the Solomon Islands, there is a sea creature so massive it could be seen from space. In fact, it's one of the largest living organisms on Earth, a colossal coral colony. Discovered by a team of researchers and filmmakers, this coral is roughly the size of 2 basketball courts. Unlike most coral reefs, which are made up of different colonies, this one is an individual organism made up of millions of tiny animals called polyps. The species is Pavona clavus, and its size and slow growth suggests it's been around for centuries. Underwater photographer Manu Sanfelix, who first saw it last month, was in awe, saying, quote, "It's a dream to see something unique like this. When Napoleon was alive, this thing was here," end quote. Before this discovery, the largest known coral was in American Samoa, measuring about 22 meters wide, but as marine conservation expert Stacy Jupiter points out, humans have only surveyed about 5% of the planet's marine realm. That means there could still be larger corals hidden out in uncharted waters. What you're looking at here is a newly discovered creature. Again, news about this one just came out the other day. In the Monterey Canyon off California, marine biologist Bruce Robison made a discovery back in 2000. While exploring with robotic vehicles, he came across a strange gelatinous blob with a giant hood, finger-like projections, and colorful internal organs. Fast forward nearly 25 years, and Robison, along with colleague Stephen Haddock, which is a great name for someone who studies fish, they have finally solved the mystery. They've identified this bizarre creature as a brand new type of nudibranch, or sea slug. Now, unlike other sea slugs that crawl along the ocean floor though, this one floats. Looks a lot more like a jellyfish. Even more astonishing, this new nudibranch can jet backward by expelling water from its hood. The hood, as it turns out, is like a Venus flytrap, capable of expanding and contracting to trap its prey. The creature is also bioluminescent and has both male and female reproductive organs. A pretty fascinating little creature.